Okay, today what we're going to do is learn about instances where it's beyond just simple dominant rules like we've been talking about in class, where black is dominant to white, brown hair is dominant to blonde hair, brown eyes is dominant to blue eyes. So what we're going to be looking at is some of these different traits. All right. So the first one is incomplete dominance. So you've all got a note sheet. So what I want you to do is get your note sheet, and on this note sheet, I want you to be filling in as we go along. And so it says, for incomplete dominance, it's a cross between two individuals which the alleles are not completely dominant over the other. So, instead of me having alleles where, like I said, brown being dominant over blonde or brown being dominant over blue, now there's a blending of the two. So you're going to notice right here, we have a different way of writing these. And the C, we're going to be looking at flower color for a second. And the C represents color, and the R in the superscript represents the color of the flower. So in order for me to get red flowers, I have to have two R's. In order for me to get white flowers, I have to have two C's with W's. So the first one that we're going to cross is, on your paper, it says, you notice if we cross two red flowers, cross a red flower and a white flower, we get all pink. So the first cross says for us to cross two pink flowers. So we're going to take and cross these two pink flowers. So we're going to get a C. Uh-oh. Let me stop. All right, let's try this again. Maybe it's going to let me. I need to use the pen here. All right, I had it on draw. We're going to have a C with a R and a C with a W and a C with a R and a C with a W. Now, when we cross these, you're going to notice in this first blank, we're going to get a CR, CR. We're going to get in the second one a CR. We're going to get a CW. Here we're going to get a CR. We're going to get a CW. And here we're going to get a CW and a CW. Okay, so when I ask for the phenotypic ratio of this one, this is going to be one red. Okay, so this one's going to be red. Okay. I got two pink. So one, two pink, and then this one is going to be white. So I've got a 1 to 2 to 1 ratio. Now, the next one we're going to look at is, I want you to cross on your paper, and I'm going to give you time to do it. I want you to cross, it says cross a pink flower with a white flower. So I want you to take some time now. I'm going to pause the video, and I want you to do that one. Now, if you did this one correctly, you would have gotten CR, CW for the pink, with a white, so CW, CW, and that's going to give you a CR, CW, and this is going to give you a CW and a CW. I know this is hard. I don't have a mouse. I'm using my finger on this mouse pad. CR, CW. Okay, and then this one's going to be CW, CW. So when you do this, notice you're going to get a 1-to-1 ratio. I know that it's 2 out of 2, but that would simplify to 1-to-1. Okay? So remember that now the reason that this is incomplete is because this is the heterozygous, and see, now it's a blending of the two individuals. Okay, let's go to our next one. All right, codominance is going to work the exact same way as incomplete dominance. The only difference with codominance is that it's going to be expressed in the heterozygous. Instead of me blending, you're going to get a mix. You're going to see both traits on the individual. So the example that you're going to cross, it says cross a black bull with a black and white cow. So instead of me getting a gray cow like I saw in incomplete dominance, I'm now getting black and white. So if you look, so here is my, once again, the C stands for color. So I've got a black bull. So here's my black bull, all right, with a white cow. All right, and when I do that, that's going to give me a CB, CW, a CB, CW, a CB, CW, and a CB, CW. Oh, I just realized that I did the wrong problem. It was supposed to be a black and white cow. So if notice that all of mine are black and white, so that's what that one is. So if I was to do my next one, which is the first one that's on your paper, which is a CB, CW with a black bull, what do you think you're going to get? Fill out the square, and what do you think you're going to get? Once again, it'll be 1-to-1, okay? Because you're going to get two blacks here, okay? And a black, oh, this should be white, and a black and white here. These are hard to write, okay? So that's going to give me my 1-to-1 ratio. And the next one says cross two black and whites, and I know I wrote it wrong. It should be TWO, not TO, on your paper. What would the ratio be? So pause the video and figure that one out. Okay, multiple alleles. Multiple alleles means that there's more than two genes that make up a trait, or two alleles. So blood type, for example, is a great way to look at multiple alleles. If you look, you see how you have A blood type, B blood type, A, B, and O? Well, with A, you can be homozygous A or heterozygous A. You can be homozygous B or heterozygous B. With AB, you've got one of each alleles. And this is where the little I comes in for these two, because O is the recessive blood type, okay? So notice that A and B are the dominant blood types. So it says a woman with heterozygous A, okay, has a child with O blood. She claims Ed is the father. He has heterozygous B blood. Could he be the father? So she has heterozygous A, so this is the blood type we're using. So you would write it as big IA, okay, with a little I. And then it said he has heterozygous B blood, so he's this, a big I with a B and a little I. So when you cross this, you get a child that has AB blood, one that has B blood, one that has A blood, and one that has O. So the question asks, it doesn't ask for a genotype, but it just simply asks, they have a child with O blood, so could Ed be the father? And right here, yes, he could be the father. Okay, the next question on your paper says, I have blood type A, my husband has blood type O. What are the possible blood types of Carlton and Carissa? So I want you to try and figure that out. Now, one thing you've got to realize is that I didn't tell you if I was this or if I was this. So I want you to think about it. Will one Punnett square be enough? So I want you to try and solve that. The last type of inheritance problem is sex-linked inheritance. Now, sex-linked inheritance is where these are the traits that are located on the sex chromosome. So you'll notice you're using X's and Y's. Remember, XX is for girls, XY is for boys. And the two most common sex-linked traits are hemophilia, which is the inability to clot your blood, and color blindness, which is not being able to distinguish between colors. So a normal female has these big N's on her X. A carrier has this little N on one of her X, and an affected female has these two little N's. Whereas a male, he either doesn't have it or he has it. See, there's nothing on the Y to cover it up, whatever's on this X chromosome. So let's look at this problem. The problem says, a woman that is a carrier of colorblindness marries a normal male. What % of their children will be colorblind? Okay, so she's a carrier. That means she's this. And it says that he is normal. So let's fill out our Punnett square. So she is this. And he is this. Oops, that's a Y. Okay, so that means they're going to have this. I know this is really hard to read. So you've got a completely normal girl. This is an X with a big N, an X with a little n. You've got an X here with a big N and a Y. And you've got an X, well, with a little n and a Y. Okay, so it says what % of their what % of their children. So if you're talking about children, that's this whole Punnett square you're looking at. So if you look, there's only one right here, so that's 25% that actually have it. If we look at their boys, boys are these two because those are the two Y chromosomes. So 1 out of 2, so that would be 50%. Okay, so do you see the difference between those two? Now the last question, or Punnett squared, I want you to do this one on your own. It says a woman that is a carrier of color blindness, so she would have this genotype here, marries a colorblind male, so he would have this. So I want you to solve that. And is there a possibility that they would have a colorblind boy? Now, the last thing I want to show you is when you're doing your work for class, this is the genotypes for the codominance problems, and that will help you when you're doing those, okay? So just remember those genotypes. So if you want to pause it and look at that when you're solving these, okay?